please let's introduce ourselves, each of us, so that I can know who are in the panel. Of course, I know Ryan already. He has been joining us within this panel from quite some long. Uh, I would love to know about the visa officer that I joined today.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everybody. My name's Taylor Pace. I am a
Let's
foreign
introduce
service.
ourselves, each of us, so that I can know.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. There's some feedback. Yeah, my name's Taylor Pace, foreign service officer in Mumbai, the Mumbai consulate. I've been here about 4 to 5 months. So yeah, I'm looking forward to talking today. We're in the middle of student season here at the consulate, so we're getting a lot of student interviews, a lot of inquiries. So yeah, looking forward to speaking more about it.
Perfect. Guys, we'll start right at sharp at 4 p.m. and let's just wait for 2 more minutes. A lot of people are joining in this event. We are going live from 3 different platforms. One is on Zoom, one is on YouTube, as well as on Instagram. So we have a total about 1,500 to 2,000 people that are waiting for us to join this session.
Wow.
Sorry, I thought I was presenting myself to everybody. I'm just talking with you two right now.
Oh no, you are presented to everyone.
Oh, I'm talking with everyone. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Because I can only see you two on the screen, but
Yeah. So on this panel, like we are only we can see each other. Rest of the people are only the attendees one.
So
okay.
Taylor, what they're doing is they're streaming this live on YouTube and Instagram. So most of the attendees are on those two platforms.
Got you. Good to know. But we're live right now.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
Okay. It's right sharp at 4. So guys, hello everyone. My name is Jaydeep Poda, and today I'll be your host for the evening. This is my first time hosting this event. Up until now, I've been just doing and setting was everyone. Previously, all of you must have seen Prerna hosting this event. Today I'll be replacing her and we'll be taking ahead everything ahead. We have Ryan with us. We have a US visa officer with us. They'll be telling you everything that you would want to know. So we all know that US is a top study abroad destination, and a lot of people are going abroad. From the past few years, the number has been increasing every year from 7 lakhs to 8 lakhs, and we are hoping that probably by next 2 or 3 years, it will go about by 10 lakhs. So with this, all these things, a lot of concern people have is mainly about the F1 visa. That is one of the most thing that people are concerned about, users are concerned about, even the students. We have two very good people, very good hosts that we have to give you insights all about it. Okay, let's start with Ryan. Over to you. Yeah, Ryan, you're gonna mute.
There we go. Screen is up and running. Over to you, Taylor.
Okay. All right. So yeah, so as we just heard, visa numbers are going up. Currently in India, there's huge demand for students. As we can see here, the US remains a top destination for students, 11 lakh international students from over 200 places of origin. It's a really exciting time to be a student in India, to be a student in the US from India. India-US relations are strong as ever. We want students to come to the US. It's a win-win situation. It's great for us. It's good for you guys. So yeah, so we're really excited about that here. We're contributing a lot of resources to making this happen. A lot of money, a lot of manpower, a lot of political power is going into making sure that we can accommodate this massive demand for F student visas. So you should take comfort in that. A couple more stats here. As I mentioned, India leads in the number of international students in the US. About 1 in 4 international students in the US are from India, and we're breaking records. I think last year we broke a record. This year we're on pace to break another record for the amount of F visas issued. So it's really an exciting time. There's a big pipeline from India to the US. Like I said, I think it's a win-win for everybody. We want you guys to come to the US, contribute to the US, and also help yourselves, help your families. We really view it as a positive thing, and we want closer Indian-US relations as well. There's so many amazing people of Indian origin in the US already. I'm from Seattle. So we have Microsoft headquartered there. We have Amazon headquartered there. I can't tell you how many incredible people of Indian origin I've met in the US. It's really cool. So we're all about that. I'll leave it there for now, and I'll come back a bit later and talk a little more about it.
Thank you so much, Taylor. As you can see on the screen, as of the Open Doors report, 331,000 plus Indian students currently in the US. To put that into perspective, Taylor mentioned we are the Indians form the largest group of international students in the US. It's the first time in 15 years that India has been the largest population of international students. We just overtook China this past November. So, and as Taylor mentioned, the numbers are looking good for next year as well. So we've broken down this talk into two parts. I'll talk about the application process, and then Taylor will come and talk about the actual visa part. So quickly, why do we have 331,000 Indian students studying in the US. Why do they want to study in the US? There are four important aspects of why these students want to study in the US. The first one is the flexibility of the education system. The flexibility is very, very apparent at the undergraduate level, where you could pick your major well into the second or third year, and people change their majors 2 or 3 times during their 4-year undergraduate program. But the flexibility is also there at the graduate level, where you get to pick and choose which courses you want. So in a master's program of, say, 6 to 8 courses, you'll have 2 or 3 core requirements that everybody in that program has to take. And then you'll have 4 or 5 courses as electives. So you get to pick courses that you want to take to help you in your career. So that is one of the unique features of the US education system, the flexibility. You can mold the program to suit your particular needs. We have over 4,000 institutions. So no matter what it is you want to study, there's a US university that will offer it. And when we're talking about the large number of institutions, it's also the way the sizes, man. We can have universities of 60, 70,000 students on campus, and you can have universities of less than 1,000. So depending on what kind of student you are, or what kind of environment you like, you could be in a very large class, or you could be in a very small class. So there's something for everybody in the US. Then we have the quality of the education system. You'll have all looked at the rankings of the worldwide universities. So no matter which ranking you look at, the vast number of top ranked universities, the top 100, will be from the US. Okay? But when we talk about quality, we're not talking about the rankings. What we are referring to is the world-class research facilities that the US universities provide, and the recognition that the degree provides. So if you get a degree from the US, you can go almost anywhere in the world and use that. And you also get exposure to a very global and diverse faculty who've come from so many countries, bringing their experiences into the US classroom. So that's why the US education has such high quality. And because there are so many universities, 4,000, there's a spectrum in terms of the affordability. You do have some that are quite expensive, but there are also others that are quite affordable, or there are others that can provide significant financial aid. Okay? And it's not just the cost that matters, it's the real world experiences, the opportunities to get that training, real world training, doing real world projects while still studying. So that is all adding value to your education. It's not just the dollar sign that goes with it. So one of those two things that number 331,000 number tells us. Okay? The first thing it tells us is that the US is and will be the number one destination for higher studies for Indian students. But the second thing it tells us, which is just as important, is applying and being admitted to a US university is a lot easier than you might think. The process itself is quite long, but if you keep things in an orderly manner and do things the right way, applying and being admitted to the university of your choice is easier than you might think. So, Education, I represent Education USA, which is the US government agency, okay, to guide students. So we've broken down this process into 5 steps. Research your options, finance your education, complete your application, apply for the visa, and then get ready to go. So when you think about research your options, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Everybody thinks of which are the top 10 universities in my field? What is the cost? What exams do I need to do to get in? Those are all very, very important things, but they are not the first thing you need to do. The first thing you need to do in this process is to do a self-evaluation. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are my career goals? Understand that. Look at it this way. After your bachelor's, you're at one level. You have your career, you want to go at a much higher level. What skills and knowledge do you need to get there? Once you understand that, then you can start looking which programs will give me those skills and knowledges. And finally, which universities offer those programs. So don't blindly go in saying which are the top 10 universities in my field. What you need to be thinking about, which university is going to give me the skills and knowledge for my career. And it's really important to understand that, because it's not just the name of the university or the reputation of the university. It is that university providing you what you need? And you will find that when you're looking at universities, cast a wide net. Do homework. Do your own homework. It's your career. Take responsibility for it. Be involved in this process. Do your homework. Look for universities that are right for you. And then you will be well on your way. So how do you choose your 4,000 universities? How do you narrow it down to 8 to 10? You can look at the facilities, you can look at the education, you can look at the fees, the diversity, and the location. And there are so many other criteria. You could look at the acceptance rate, the graduation rate, okay, the placement rate. There's so much. You have to decide which of these criteria is a must-have for you, and which of these criteria I'd like to have that. And then look for universities that meet your must-have requirements. And if they also meet your, I would like that, good for you. It's even better fit for you. So when it comes to the education, you should look at, you are going there to study. So does that university offer a rigorous academic program in your field? And is it providing you the courses that you want, which will provide you the skills for your career? So that is where you have to be involved in this process. You know what you're looking for, do your homework. Then you can look at the rankings. But there are 2 things about rankings that you all really should know. The first thing is that very few people really know what goes into a ranking. For example, one of the very popular rankings, a very large percentage of the ranking is how much of money the alumni donates to the university. So if the university has a good alumni office and gets donations, its ranking goes up, but that doesn't mean the education is better. And the second and even more important thing about rankings is that in the US, there are no official rankings of US universities. All those rankings that you see are always voluntary. So there are several high quality US universities that choose not to participate in rankings because their philosophy is we are here to educate, not self-promote. So just because the university is not ranked doesn't mean it's bad. Do your homework. It's really important to look at the admissions rate. If 100 people apply, how many are admitted? What are my chances of getting in? And also look at the graduation rate. If 10 people are admitted, how many actually finish the program and how many finish on time? Those are kinds of things that will help you make a more informed decision about whether the university is right for you. Then look at the facilities that the university has to offer, because it's not just about the quality of the education. You have to think about, will I be happy? Will I be able to thrive in that environment? What resources does the university offer outside of education, of their classroom? Is there opportunity to do individual research at the undergraduate level or graduate level? There's always going to be opportunities. But does the university have an undergraduate research symposium at the end of the year where the undergraduates can present their research? So those are very small things. But if you are interested in research, it's something very important to you. What kind of recreation facilities are there on campus? Because you want to be doing well in studies, but also keep staying healthy. Okay. In the US, except for a handful of cities, the public transport system is not that great, especially here in Mumbai. We are spoiled for choices. Okay. But so, and the US university campuses can be very, very large. How do you get from one part of the campus to the other? A lot of times, the US universities will have their internal bus systems to take you from one place to the other. Or if it's a small town, the town buses will pass through campus to take you from the campus to the mall and back. Things like that. You have to look into all these things and also look at the dining options that are available. Will you have access to the food that you're used to? Nowadays, most of the dining halls will have the buffet option. So usually dining options is not a big issue for most people. But again, you can look into all these things. Then you also want to look at the location. Is it close to a relative, or is it in a big city or a small city? Or is it in a warm climate or a cold climate where you get to see the 4 seasons, like you see in this lovely image here, the fall colors? Again, these are all personal choices. When I went to the US, I chose a university which was 500 miles from my nearest relative because I wanted to be on my own and independent. So that was important to me. You have to ask yourself, what's important to you? Do you want to be independent and on your own? Or do you want that support system of having somebody nearby? Okay? So again, it's your personal choice. And you have to decide what is important. Do you want to be in the big city, which has access to the big airports, the professional teams? Or do you want to be in a smaller town and learn about the American culture where people know each other, the neighbors know each other, things like that? Think for yourself what's important for you. Then we have the diversity. One of the hallmarks of the US education is the diversity you're going to see on a US campus. At the big state university that I was at, we had people from over 100 countries there, and both students as well as the faculty. And it adds value to your education because you're learning in this global world, learning how other cultures operate is really, really important. And it gives you also the opportunity to share your Indian culture with the world. So the next point is about the fees. Okay? So as I mentioned, on average, the tuition plus living at a public university will be around $45,000 a year. And when we talk about cost, it's always tuition plus living, not just tuition. Okay? You have to take both into account. So at a public university, it'll be around $45,000 a year. At a private university, the average cost, tuition plus living, is $57,000 a year. Okay? That's the sticker price. That's before the scholarships and the other discounts that might happen. But it's important to have that in your mind when you're starting to make your plans. So it can seem to be quite expensive, but there are many ways for you to fund your education. You could get financial aid from the university. This is usually the best way to reduce your costs. There are several universities that will provide up to full scholarships, especially at the graduate level. For those doing PhD, it's almost in the sciences, it's almost guaranteed that you'll get full funding. Okay? That could be either a TA, teaching assistantship, or a research assistantship, which would include both tuition waiver plus a stipend to live on. At the undergraduate level, there are also scholarships available. However, they tend to be more competitive. So you have to do more homework as to which universities can provide those scholarships. You can work for 20 hours a week on campus. So people usually work in the cafeterias or the libraries. So this is more to give you some pocket money. Remember that the goal of your going to the US is to study. So keep your focus on studies. If and only if you really, really need the money, then you can look at the on-campus employment, because your time is much better spent doing well in your studies and doing good projects and networking. And then you could get loans from both the US or Indian lenders, the banks. So this is some examples. So I represent the Fulbright Commission in India, in Western India. So we do have the Fulbright Nehru Fellowships. There are other US government fellowships, such as the International Fellows Programs. The US universities will have specific scholarships. So for example, Indian student, any international student going to the University of Dayton can apply for the Dayton International Scholarship, which is kept specifically for international students. Nowadays, in India, as part of the CSR, a lot of the Indian conglomerates put their 2% of profits, CSR profits, into funding higher education. So we have the Sahu Jain Trust, the Narottam Saxena, the KC Mahindra Trust, and the J.N. Tata Trust. These are some of the better known trust houses. And then you can also look at the international organizations, the Rotary Foundation, the Ford Foundation, for other scholarships that they may have. So don't just say, I need a full scholarship from the US university. There are multiple ways to pay for your US education. I had one of my students had 8 scholarships from Indian sources. Small amounts, but when you take 8 of them together, they add up. Then you have to start the actual applications. The difference between India applying to the US and other countries is that for the US, you have to start early. 12 to 18 months is what we recommend. The earlier you start, the better. You start with thinking about, why do I need higher studies? Why do I need to do it abroad? Okay, which schools should I apply to? Start doing make your shortlist, narrow down to the 8 to 10 that you want to apply to, and then take the exams. For the graduate students, it will be the GRE and the TOEFL, or the GMAT and the TOEFL, or one of the other English exams. And for the undergraduate students, it will be either the SAT or the ACT exam, plus the English exam. You want to send in your applications 8 to 10 months before your actual date of going to the US. Okay? That is something that's really, really important. So if you're looking at August 2025, your application should be ready to go to the US by December 2024. So where we are right now. Between January and March, the US universities will review the applications, let you know whether you've been admitted, and if you've been admitted, have you been given any financial aid. They will then send you a letter saying, congratulations, you've been admitted to our university. Now we need to see proof that you can pay for the first year's tuition and living. You send them that proof, and once they accept it, then they will send you a document called the I-20, and with that, you will apply for your student visa. And now Taylor will walk you all through the process of how to apply for the student visa.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Okay, so step 4, applying for the visa. Where to start? So a couple points that you have right up here. One is that it's easier than you think. The process is not so difficult. It is something you can do by yourself. It's not something that you really need to hire out to somebody. It's fairly straightforward. So, and the other thing I would say is, like it says there, as long as you've prepared properly, you're going to be fine. As long as you've taken enough time in advance to make sure you can get all your ducks in a row, you will be fine. So don't be too stressed out about it. Let's see. So I think I have a couple other things here. So I think this is mentioned later, but you'll have to have your DS-160, which is a document. Well, let's see. So what do we have here? Okay, I'll go over this first, and then we'll go to the DS-160 and things next. So kind of as I mentioned before, student visas are a huge priority for us. Secretary of State Blinken called it a foreign policy imperative for us. It's something that's like, it's almost vital to our foreign policy. It's almost like a national security thing. It's really this pipeline we have, and strengthening Indian-US relations, everything that goes into it is very important for us. And as I mentioned before, embassy and consulates, record number of student visas in 2022, also I believe in 2023, probably in 2024. This isn't even just for student visas. This is for various different categories of visas. The demand for all sorts of types of visas from India to the US is huge right now. And we recognize that, and that's why, as the third bullet point there says, we're dedicating massive amounts of resources, the amount of funding, there's like I said, manpower. Like, I was part of a cohort, 10 of us arrived at the same time in August, consular officers, just to try and get the wait times down. We're working Saturdays, we're doing all sorts of things. We're processing visas remotely, even. So we really recognize that there's an insane demand for student visas. And I think at the top levels of the government, it's understood that we need to accommodate this, and it's a boon for both you guys and for us. So yeah, so I think we can move on to the next slide then. So interview waiver policy, this is kind of a niche thing, but basically there's certain circumstances where you don't need to actually come in for an interview, where you can have the interview waived. As you can see there, there's a few stipulations, but it applies if you had a previous non-immigrant visa, except for the B tourist visa, besides that. And then you have to apply within 48 months of the expiration date of your current visa. And yeah, this will ensure that you can skip the whole interview process. You can save time, save money. So it's just something to be aware of. Again, I'm sure this is on Google somewhere. So if this does apply to you, maybe drill down a little more there. I won't go too deep into it here. We can go next slide. Okay, so I think, Ryan, you touched on this a bit. So you'll apply to the university, get accepted. At some point, you will need to request an I-20 from your university. This is a document that basically, I think I don't know the exact definition of it, but basically it's showing that you're eligible to apply for a non-immigrant visa. Yeah, so then you'll, I think at this point, Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, at this point, you also have to apply apply in SEVIS, I think at this point too, maybe, or maybe that comes after. What's that? Oh, you're on mute.
That's step C. The service is step C.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. Okay. Great. Okay. So then anyways, you get your I-20, then you complete your DS-160. This is just a form with basic general information about you. Again, you do not need assistance filling this out. If anybody is requesting payment or your credentials to fill this out for you, that is definitely not recommended for various reasons. You should never give your credentials to anybody because they can be misused. There are plenty of people who pretend, or sort of they pose as people who know what they're talking about and that they can complete your DS-160 better than you. That is not the case. If you do it genuinely and honestly, fill out your information, that's the best thing to do. So I just want to hammer that point home. Then the third step, pay your visa application SEVIS fees. SEVIS fee is $350 US. Application fee, I think, is 185, so about half a lakh total. As you can see, there are various ways to pay. It's not difficult. So again, just making it clear to you guys that this process for the visa application process is quite simple. You can do this yourself. And yeah, go to the next slide. Okay, so the visa application process, there will be 2 appointments. The first one is going to the visa application center. And you can do this. This doesn't have to be in the place even where you're getting the appointment. This can be, I think this can be anywhere within India. This is just to get your biometrics taken. As it says there, no more than 50 days before your interview day, you'll get your fingerprints, get a picture taken. Pretty simple stuff. Bring your passport and bring your DS-160. Don't forget that. The second step there, appointment 2, that's the big one. That's going to the going for the actual interview with the visa agent. And I think we'll go into that more in some of the next slides. But basically, another thing I want to just again highlight, make sure you attend these appointments. Policies have gotten a little stricter recently in terms of rescheduling. You used to be able to, Ryan, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I was just going to say visa consular officer, not visa agent.
Oh yeah, consular officer. Apologies.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll have the interview with us, with the consular officer in the consulate. Yeah, so make sure you attend these appointments. You don't want to have to go through the whole process again, which can happen if you miss your appointment and you're a no-show. At any of these appointments, you run the risk of having to go through the whole process again. So when you're signing up for your appointments, make sure in advance that you can almost guarantee that you will be there during that time. If you're going through the rescheduling thing, there's a chance that you're going to have to go through the whole process again, and the policy is being tightened up. So as of January 1st, it's going to be more, the amount of times you can reschedule is going to be limited. So just make sure that you attend those appointments and you schedule them at a time you know you can make. Yeah, go next slide. Okay, so the interview. This is the fun part. So you're gonna come to the consulate. You'll meet with someone like me, consular officer, and you have to demonstrate a few things to us. You have to demonstrate you're a bona fide student, and this includes a few things, that you're sufficiently prepared for your education. So this means that when you come in, we're probably going to ask you a couple questions about your education, about your background. You should be able to answer, if you're a bona fide student, you should be able to answer basic questions about this. If not, we're going to think that you're not a real bona fide student. So make sure you've done a bit of your homework about the program you want to go to, the school you're going to. You should already know your work background, educational background. Those are the main areas. Number 2, having a credible plan to pay. As Ryan mentioned, education in the US is quite expensive, for better or worse. It is what it is. So you have to have a plan in place to pay. As he mentioned, do not count on paying a little bit up front and then just work in the US to fund your stay. First of all, in most cases that is, could be fraudulent, which you do not want to get on the wrong side of that. Second of all, some people think in the US the streets are paved with gold. Not necessarily the case. You have to be careful, especially if you're working in something that's kind of shady. You put yourself in a very bad situation where you can be taken advantage of, exploited. That's not good for anybody. So you have to be really careful about that. Make sure you have the plan in place before you come on how you're going to pay. Whether this is taking a loan, you've talked with your parents, and as I hit on already, plan to use your student visa appropriately. There can be pretty severe penalties for not using your visa appropriately. That can be very serious. So do not plan on doing that. It also comes through in the visa interview. When we're interviewing with you, we have various kind of means at our disposal, not just in us at the interview. There's pre-screening. There's a bunch of things going on behind the scenes, which I can't talk about, which can sort of tell us if you're planning to use your visa appropriately or not. So you do not want to spend all this money to come to the consulate, pay your service fee, pay the application fee for it to be pretty clear to us that you're not going to use your visa appropriately, and then it's all a waste of money. So make sure you're coming to study. That should be your primary purpose, or else it'll be very difficult not only to live in the US, but also just to pass your interview with us. So couple quick things. E-visa interview, it's quick, it's 2 to 3 minutes. So just make sure that make sure you know what you're talking about. You'll bring your passport and I-20. Be prepared for personal questions, and be prepared to have a conversation. Please focus right here. If I've bored you already, please focus on what I'm saying right here. The most important thing in the interview is to be genuine and to be honest. If you come up and we say, why do you want to go to this program? And you say, officer, this program aligns perfectly with my career goals. We're already at that point, once the scripted answers start, that's going down the road to a refusal. So make sure, we don't want to crush dreams. We want to help you. This is a good thing. As I said, it's a win-win for us, for you to come to the US and study. So we're not trying to scare you or anything like that. We're just trying to make sure you're actually going to come be a student. And if you are, we want you to come. We want you to come to the US. So if you're a genuine student, you should be able to speak about your interest, your motivation. Why do you want to go to this university? You should be able to talk about that. If you start rehearsing answers and you're scripted and you're giving the answer we've heard from the previous 5 applicants, we're going to think you're trying to hide something. It will seem like you're not a bona fide student. So just relax. Don't be nervous. We want you to succeed. Just don't come with a fake sort of answer. Just talk with us. We want to help you. So I just want you guys to know that that's a big thing to remember. So go to the next slide. Okay, so just a couple quick basic things. If the visa is approved, we hold on to your passport. We need to print the visa, put it in there for you. You'll receive an email, an SMS informing you that the passport and visa are ready in about 3 to 5 days. You can pay for a courier service. It's 850 rupees to get it sent to your address. Or you can pick it up at one of our visa application centers, one of our VACs, which would be the place where you got the biometrics. So you can do either of those. Yeah, we'll just move to the next slide. Again, Ryan kind of touched on this already. Just make sure you have your ducks in a row before you schedule your visa interview. As he had on that slide with the timelines, it takes a lot of time. Some of these things are time intensive. So just make sure that when you're scheduling your interview, that you have your I-20, you have everything you need. Just make sure you do that before you schedule, because again, you don't want to be stuck having to reschedule your interview, which is getting more and more difficult. Let's see. And you can apply for a visa up to, I don't know if this is on the slide. It's not on the slide, but you can apply up to 365 days ahead of program start date, I believe. Ryan, I think that's
right.
Okay. And then as it says there, you won't be admitted into the US more than 30 days before your program date. It's just something to remember so you don't show up at the border and have to get turned around. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it there. Vaccinations and COVID tests. Didn't even know the slide was on here. I'm pretty sure you don't I don't think you don't need a vaccination COVID. I think that's outdated, right, Ryan?
Yeah, I would just check the CDC website that's mentioned there for any up-to-date information about requirements.
Okay. Okay, a little bit more on the documents and interview. Like I said, don't bring fake documents. Don't lie. That's a great way to get a potentially permanent ban to the US. Like I said, even if you think you can, in the interview, you can lie to our face. There's other things going on behind the scenes, which are being used to detect fraud. So I'm not going to go into detail about it, but let me just say I do not recommend that you bring fraudulent documents or try and lie in the interview. It comes across to us in the interview pretty easily. It's because it can be nerve-wracking. We understand, and it's tough. It can be tough. So don't lie. Don't use fake documents. It can lead to a permanent ban. Something I wanted to touch on to kind of be real with you guys is we know there's a lot of things going on with third parties, giving login credentials to third parties filling out your DS-160. This is extremely, I don't want to say dangerous. I mean, it's extremely dangerous. What can happen? We see this all the time. If you give your credentials to a third party, very often, first of all, it's expensive. You've already paid a couple lakh for this person to fill these things out for you. On top of what you're paying for the visa fees, we see them very often change your login credentials, and then they're going to require, say, 5 lakh, 6 lakh more for you to get your credentials back from them. So it's very dangerous, this third party sort of thing here that we see. So be careful with that. Be careful with giving them your information, because you also don't know when they will use that in the future. So just saying that you don't need these people. You can do this yourself. That's the way that's the most genuine. That's the way that's going to work. So I just want you guys to know that. Next, be honest during the interview. I kind of touched on that. Just be honest, relax, guys. We're not trying to bust you. We want you to succeed. But if it seems like you're lying to us, that's going to be a refusal. So just be genuine, be honest. We're not trying to crush your dreams. We want you to succeed. So just relax and tell us honestly why you want to go study, what you want to study. Please just relax. Truthful information. And you're responsible for the information in your application, which again, you need to, if someone else is filling out these forms for you, you're going to be responsible when we're asking you the questions about it and you can't answer. Again, huge red flag. So just be honest. That way you'll be less stressed out during the interview. That way you have a higher chance of succeeding in the interview with this whole process. So just want you guys to remember that. Yeah, we can go on to the next slide. I think we're almost done here. Tell me how much time I have, Ryan. I want to leave time for questions, so I don't want to.
1 second.
You know.
It's gone back.
Okay.
There we go. That's it. Yeah. You already spoke on this.
Yep. Yeah. So, like we said, this process is expensive enough for you guys. Paying the visa fees, the service fee, the flight to wherever you're getting your wherever your visa appointment is, accommodation. You should not have to pay more. We don't want you to have to be paying all this money for, people who claim to know best how to get you through this process. There's legitimate people like YOCKET or YOCKET. There are legitimate people who can help you through this process. It's the illegitimate people who are trying to get you to pay exorbitant amounts of money, who sell you a certain agent package, who think they know what they're doing, and they probably don't, which is what we've seen, the illegitimate people. And like I said, the YOCKET, people like that, there are legitimate people who can help you, but people who are shady and who claim to know what they're doing, be very careful with them, because you're paying them a lot of money, you're giving them sensitive information, and you don't need it. So just saying that one more time. No one can guarantee a visa. We see people saying 98% chance of getting a visa. Just, come with us, just pay this amount of money. That's not true. So don't believe that stuff. The best way is to be honest and genuine. That's how you're gonna succeed. Just remember that. And there's a link there if you do have some questions, or not questions. I mean, that's if you want to report any fraud. If you want to report any fraud, just you can reach out there again, we're on your side. We're trying to help you. We don't want this to be a opaque, crazy process. That's why I'm here. That's why Ryan's here. That's why YOCKET's here. So again, we're on your side. So we just want you guys to know that. Report fraud there if you run into any fraud. Okay. So yeah, just a couple of frequently asked questions. You applied for a visa but were refused. Can you apply again? The short answer is yes, but there's a caveat. We want to provide first-time applicants with the first right to appointments. In this most recent year, there's a lot of worry that people won't get appointments. In this last recent year, all first-time applicants were able to get appointments. Don't worry about that. You're going to get an appointment. The more you get refused, it can be more difficult because first-time people are getting they're getting priority. So just get the visa on your first try. That's the best way. I received my university acceptance, but cannot see any F1 visa appointments. When will I see the appointments? Again, like I said, these get released. They get released in tranches, in kind of bunches, right before the student season, right before we know when a lot of students will be applying. So, short answer, don't worry. The appointment will be there for you. You will be able to get an appointment. You just have to be patient. Follow social media, follow the official channels. We'll let you know when to look. And rest assured you will get an appointment. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah, Ryan, I don't know if you want to take this or I take this. Just some.
No, just we'll be happy to take questions. Please type your questions in the question box. Jaideep will help ask some of the questions from the YouTube and other Instagram.
Okay, perfect. So first of all, thank you, both of you guys. Thank you, Taylor. Thank you for your kind words, first of all. And yeah, guys, please put up your questions. We'll be taking it up. We have limited time, so please shoot up your questions. Okay. We have a lot of questions for both of you, Ryan and Taylor. So I'll start with the first question. So if my Indian passport, my surname is blank, should my I-20 and offer letter should have LNU or no last name for the visa process?
I'm not sure about the I-20 specifically. I know for the visa process, it should match what's on your passport. If it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. But I would try and match it up with what's on the passport to avoid any complications. For the I-20, Ryan, I'm not. Yeah.
The I-20 will always match with what's on the passport.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why they need the copy of the passport to be assured.
Right. Okay. Best to do what's on the passport then for the visa process as well. Yeah.
Okay. So if my B2 visa or any other type of visa was rejected twice when I was younger, let's say 16 years old, will this impact my F1 visa now?
Sure. Short answer is no. Especially if it was when you were 16, you applied with your parents. That's no, that won't affect you. If it was when you were kind of an adult and it was like this year, you applied for B1, B2, and now you're applying for a student visa, there might be some questions. But if it was when you were younger, it won't impact you. And in general, it shouldn't be an impact.
Okay. So Ryan, this question will be for you. As you mentioned that you are associated with the Fulbright scholarship. So could you please give a little bit just about how to get it, what's the eligibility, and a little bit in depth about that?
So thank you for the question. Generally speaking, the Fulbright fellowships are meant for more senior people. We do have some Fulbright Nehru fellowships for master students, but they are we haven't announced them yet. We're going to announce it in February. But last year they were for 11 fields. One of the requirements to be eligible for the master's fellowships is that you have to have the equivalent of a 4-year undergraduate degree plus 3 years of full-time work experience after your undergraduate degree to be eligible. And again, as I mentioned, we will be making that announcement on February 2nd, 2025, for those looking to go in 2027. 2026.
Okay. So Amit asked, I have got an admit from Northeastern University for fall 25, but I'm still waiting for my decisions for other universities. Should I wait or I can start a visa process with this admit? If yes, what will happen if I choose a different university later on?
Yeah, so let's see. So fall 2025. I mean, before the fall student season, we will release a bunch more visa appointments. So probably best for you if you're talking about which visa appointment to get, you should wait for the summer for the fall intake. I'm not sure if that's exactly what you're talking about. I mean, I don't know, Ryan, if you can recommend on because the I-20 side, I don't know enough. Should he get his I-20 right now from Northeastern, or is that I don't know much about that
So,
process.
so you're allowed to accept one offer at a time. So if you want to go ahead and accept the Northeastern offer, by all means do that. And you can even get the I-20. But if you've got a dream university that you're still waiting on, I would recommend that you wait, especially since you're going all the way. They haven't even really opened the visa slots for fall. They're still dealing with spring.
Yeah.
So there's going to be plenty of opportunities to get your visa slots. So wait till you get made up your final university and then go with that. Yeah.
So there's this one question that has been asked in our community again and again, and that is like, since now Trump is the new president, will there be any changes in the F1 process? Will more people gonna be issued F1 visa from India? Anything that you can share here?
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I knew the answer to this. We're asking ourselves, what's the answer going to be to this? The sad truth is that we can't speculate on this. I hate giving this answer because it sounds so political, but really, even we don't know. The political system in the US, especially when it comes to immigration law, it can be very difficult to change. Things get caught up in the courts. So even us, we don't know. Yes, there's plenty of talk about it. Will it change? Who can say? At this point, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Because to be honest, even we're not too certain on what's going to happen. So sorry, I know that's not the answer you want to hear, but yeah.
Okay. So Deepta asked, I currently hold B1, B2 visa issued recently, valid till 2034. Will this be revoked when I apply for F1?
No, it won't. And yeah, it's again, the B visa doesn't play too much into the F visa decision. I would say to have a to have a valid B visa is probably a plus. It's probably a good thing for you. But no, it won't be revoked. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it.
So there's this one question which is a follow-up question on Taylor, which you mentioned that if someone asks why do you want to pursue your master from this particular university, and if someone answers okay because this aligns with my personal goal, etc. What if
Yeah.
actually it is my a genuine answer?
If it's a genuine answer, then you should just be able to tell it in a way. Just then tell us in a way that's honest. Because it's not wrong if you say it aligns with my career goals, but then we're gonna immediately say, okay, how does it align with your career goals? Because the answer we get 100 times a day is this program aligns directly with my career goals. And then you say, okay, how? And the people who just have a script, they don't know how to answer that. And then they freeze. And then we're like, okay, if you're a genuine student, you should be able to just tell us how. So if it does genuinely align with your career goals, then just know that a follow-up question is coming where we're going to ask you, how does it align with your career goals? And you should be able to just tell us that in a relaxed, genuine, conversational way. So yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Okay. So Jatin from YouTube asked, the number of students applying for F1 visa has been a significant surge in past few years. Does this imply that the selection process might become more rigorous than before?
I don't think so. I mean, it just depends. It just depends on if you're a qualified student. I mean, if you if you are a legitimate student going to the US to pursue studies and you can show that you have funding, then for us, that's pretty much it. The numbers have gone up year after year after year. So I would say that like it's not getting more rigorous. But I wouldn't worry about that sort of thing. You just worry about what you can control. You just worry about getting your profile up to where it's a good profile. Just be relaxed for the interview and be genuine, and it shouldn't be a problem. So, yeah.
Okay. Uh, so Satvik asked, can I take multiple I-20s from multiple universities before I decide on the final university of my choice?
The short answer is technically yes. The ethical answer is you shouldn't do it, because by blocking, you'll be blocking somebody else's seat. But you can.
Again, Ryan, one question for you. Since you were mentioning that there are a lot of universities which do not opt for, go into these ranking systems like US or US News. So how do someone find these universities which are good but not present in these rankings?
Again, we like people using something like a more broad-based search engine like petersons.com or the Big Future website, .collegeboard.org for the undergraduate searches. Searching for universities takes time. And the reason we like those kinds of websites is because they will give you the list of universities and with a little snapshot about each university. And then if you like what you're reading in that snapshot, then you can go to the university's website and do the deep dive into whether it offers the courses and everything for that you're looking for. Sometimes with a broad-based thing like Google or top 10 lists and all that, people can pay to appear at the top of the search engine. And that's why you might get misled a little. So that's why we like the more broad-based search engine. It takes, as I mentioned, applying takes time, but you have to put in the effort, and then you'll be able to find universities that are just right for you. And that's again brings me back to my first point. It's not about the rank of the university, it's whether it's a right fit for you.
Okay. The next question is a bit direct, Taylor, for you. How do I make sure that you retain my passport after the visa interview?
How do I make sure that you retain the passport?
Yeah.
We'll keep it. Don't worry. When your visa is approved, we take the passport. So if we say your visa's been approved and you still have your passport, something wrong happened. So, if we say your visa's approved and you still have your passport, talk to the consular officer, because the moment we issue your visa, we take your passport. So you don't worry about that. We'll retain your passport.
Okay, perfect. So there's this one question, it has been asked by a lot of people. Is there any emergency slots? So for example, let's suppose there are no slots in coming next 2 or 3 months, and my classes are about to start in next 1 month. So is there any emergency slot which I can go for?
Yeah. So again, for the student visas, we open the slots. First of all, we open them like they're going up to like right before the start dates of a lot of programs. So just by the general nature, there should be some appointments there for you. If it's a really last minute thing, and you already have an appointment for date for like you already have some appointment date, you can apply for an expedite. This is an application process though. It's not a guarantee. So you have to have a pretty strong justification, and then someone here will review that justification. So yes, if there is a very last minute thing, you can apply for an expedite. But there should be appointments there for you anyways. We release a bunch right before the program start dates.
Okay. I have 2 years gap in my undergrad education, and I was practically doing nothing. So can I be honest about it in my visa interview? And is there any chance that it won't be refused?
Yeah, you can definitely be honest about it. I mean, I'll tell you I'll tell you something I probably shouldn't, but you should like try and you should be able to come up with something in those 2 years to kind of like, don't just come up and say I did nothing, because that doesn't sound good. Try and at least don't lie, but trying to at least like you must have done something there, some research or some, you know, something. So try and frame it that way. But the other thing you can do is if you had a recent gap where you did nothing, now you can work, get a job or get something, you know, and apply in a couple of years. That will improve your chances. So always try and build your profile, always be working on your profile. But yeah, so it's not necessarily a bad thing, but we might ask some questions about that and make sure you have an answer that's not just I did nothing. Oh, let me just put it that way.
Okay. Again, another question and a little bit direct. Can you please give us 3 red flags for your visa interview?
Yeah, absolutely. Scripted answers. We get a lot of things. How will you pay for this? How will you pay for this loan? Or how will you pay for this program? My parents have movable assets of 40 lakh and movable assets of 20 lakh. Like there's these certain answers that are just on a script that we hear again and again, and that makes it sound like it's not honest. So the script is the biggest thing. Come up and just talk to us and answer the questions genuinely. If you're giving scripted answers we hear all the time, that is a huge red flag. That's the biggest one. I'll keep it short. Yeah, just be genuine.
Okay. When it comes to finances, do I only have to show my finances for 1 year or for the whole program?
Yeah, for the visa interview process, it's just 1 year. I don't know how it works for the I-20, Ryan.
It's 1 year.
1 year, yeah.
Yeah. Tuition plus living.
Yeah.
Okay. When I'm doing my undergraduate, my B2 visa got rejected for one time. Will it be a problem for getting a F1 visa? Again, I guess this is a repeated question.
Yeah. Again, no. We might ask a question on it. If it was recent, oh, so I see. Oh no, that's a different question. Yeah, if it was really recent, we might ask like, okay, if you like are planning to go to the US to study like this year, why are you also applying for a tourist visa? Like it might not, we might have some questions on that. But no, it's not something that's necessarily derogatory. So I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay. Yes, this is an important one. During the interview, if the visa officer asks, what are your career plans post-masters? Is it understood that the student would want to work in the US for a year or two or to repay the loan? Or should they answer that I'm planning to come back to India?
Yeah, that's a really good question, whoever asked that. That's a very tricky question. You know, it comes back to the script again. If we know we've done studies on this, the majority of people applying for student interviews, for student visas, they want to stay in the US and work after. The vast majority. We've done the studies, we know this, you know it, everybody knows this. But again, it's a weird situation. I would say in the visa interview, don't say it. Don't you again, you want to be genuine. You should be going by the letter of the law just for studying, just to focus on your studies. The work and all of that, yes, it is possible later, and it's not possible. You worry about that when you get there. For the visa interview process, you don't, I would not probably not mention that. But you also don't want to say the script we get a bunch is just like, sir, when I come back to like when I finish my program, I will come back to India and work as at this company. And we're like, okay, that like we know you want to go, to the
Yeah.
US. It's a really weird gray area. So if we ask you in the interview, again, just try and be genuine. Try and say, I'm just focusing on my studies at this time, which is what you should be doing. And the other stuff will come later. So just try and keep it focused on your studies.
If my student visa is rejected from any other country, let's suppose Germany or Canada, will it also affect my F1 visa chances?
If a previous F visa was refused elsewhere.
No, an application to a different country.
Oh, for a student visa from another
Yeah.
country.
Yeah.
I don't think I can answer that. I'm gonna skip that one.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. So the next question would be, what are some common application mistakes that you see that because of don't even get a chance to come into the interview?
One more time.
What are some of the common mistakes in application that students do that because of that you don't even get to a chance to come in the interview?
Oh, okay, is that for Ryan or like which for which application?
The DS 120, DS 160.
Yeah.
Oh, um, well, I don't think if you have an appointment and you fill out your DS 160, then then you have your appointment. So that's not an issue. But if you're in the interview window with us and we're asking questions, we see your DS 160. If we're asking questions about your DS 160, and you can't answer them, then it looks to us like someone filled out your DS 160. We know a lot of people go through third parties. Um, that's sketchy. Third party people, again, some of them who think they might know best, they will put certain answers which we see again and again and we know are not genuine. That is a red flag. So again, it all comes back to what I've said, what Ryan said. Just you don't need to pay somebody a bunch of money for this. It's good to get opinions from professional people like YOCKET. It's good to get information from people who know what they're talking about, but sketchy people who are asking you to pay money and who are claiming they know the best way to get a visa. A lot of the times that's not the case, and we can see it right in front of us. So again, just be genuine, fill out your own form.
Okay.
Yeah, Ryan.
Can I just ask a similar question, related question? What are my options if I noticed I made a mistake on my DS 160 application? Do I need to restart the application or can I sort change
You
it?
know what? I'm actually not certain about that. I think, yeah, I don't actually know about that. If you're in the interview window and we ask you something, so one thing is with a lot of visa appointments, when you fill out your DS 160, like for a B1, B2 visa, sometimes you're filling out that DS 160 a year before you come in for the visa interview. So we understand that if things change in a year, you could just explain that. Like when I applied, it was like this, and now it's like this. We understand that. We know there's a big lead time for the visa appointment window. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So next question, and yeah, it's a very important question, and again, Taylor, to you. If we fumble in a visa interview, will it be directly rejected if I'm nervous or something?
No. I mean, there's like we want you to succeed again. Like we're not really trying to be like, what's this question that's going to confuse them and make them nervous? Like no, like we're like, okay, why did you choose this university? Like you should be able to answer that. We get you're nervous. Again, the best thing I can say to you for being nervous and fumbling is like, again, we're not trying to reject everyone. We want legitimate students to come to the US. So just relax. It's gonna be okay. We're not if you slip up a little bit, we're not like, oh, what was that? It's just relax. We understand that you're nervous. Just try and be genuine and honest. And if you slip up a little, it's okay, So yeah, I'd say don't worry. I mean, the main thing is just don't worry about that. Just when the visa interview happens, it happens. For now, just focus on your profile, doing what you can do, and try and be relaxed and genuine for the interview, and there shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, I just want to note that in the chat box, I put in a email address, support-india@usvisascheduling.com. We won't be able to answer all your questions. So if anybody has any questions or any specific questions that Taylor is unable to respond to, you can ask your questions there as well.
Okay. Guys, we're well above our time for this session. So probably just last 30 seconds if anyone has any questions, and then we'll wrap up this session. Okay. Do you also have to maintain any bank balance before the application, and for how long?
maybe is this for the I-20, Ryan, or is this for
It's for the visa. So
Oh, okay.
so usually the thinking is that you need to have 6 months of
Bank
funds, showing the funds have to be in the bank for 6 months and all that. Those are the myths.
Okay. Well, I mean, you will need to, like we said, have some plan. I mean, I think the main thing is, well, yeah, you know what? I'll leave it at that. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that, to be honest. But I think you should have something to show, just in case we ask for it.
Okay, perfect. So this sums up our this session. Thank you so much, Sheila. Thank you so much, Ryan, for this great session. I'm sure all the students, all the people who have joined in from all three platforms have got everything they would want to know. And if not, if you have any other questions, Ryan has already put up the email. Please feel free to ask any questions over there, or you can also reach out. We have these sessions multiple time in the year. The next session will be probably in February or in January. So please stay tuned. And again, thank you so much, Ryan. Thank you so much,
Okay.
Sheila. Bye bye.
All right. Take care.
Good luck, everyone.